In just a moment from now, we will be bringing you the full interview of Iraq's Foreign Minister Ibrahim Al-Jafri. He's speaking exclusively to India today. But before that, let's just contrast and compare what the Indian government is saying on the one side about the 39 missing Indians. Remember, last weekend, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj had claimed that they were possibly in prison in a place called Badush, west of Mosul in Iraq. She says that's where they last had information of these Indians being kept captive. Now the Iraqi foreign minister, it turns out, says that the Iraqi government doesn't have any such information. Let me now bring you all the reactions from Parliament. Remember this India Today exclusive Mission Iraq, setting Parliament's agenda today, the government being quizzed inside Parliament and outside, opposition parties wanting to know.
One of the prominent channels of India sent their own team on ground, and it was established as speaking a white lie.
सदन में भी इस मुद्दे पर, इस विषय पर कुछ लोगों ने अपनी बात रखी थी, तो हम आपको इतना ही बताना चाहते हैं कि हर मुद्दे का, हर सवाल का जवाब सदन के अंदर मिलेगा.
I have seen some of the coverage that you have brought from there. I think tremendous courage to send a team there and to bring back that coverage. And that coverage is very, very depressing and very distressing because the jail in which our compatriots were supposedly kept under custody has been totally destroyed. And we are dealing with whom? We are dealing with heartless people. We are dealing with people who can hardly be expected to have evacuated them and taken them to safety before destroying the jail. So it's a very, very, very deeply worrying thing. I would only simply say that the government has enormous responsibility. This may not be the right time for us to question the credentials of the government. I think the government has a responsibility. We should support it in doing the best that it can.
They actually took responsibility for assuring the relatives that there was some hope. And, you know, giving hope to people without any basis is very, very sad. I think that the government has to introspect on whether it had enough reliable sources, whether it was right to convey the material in this manner to the families and to the nation.
I had gone to Iraq. I had brought certain information that has been shared with the families as well as with the media. And we have always said, which our minister has said in the parliament also, that till the time we do not get proof, no government can abandon its citizens.
I want to go across now to India Today's Foreign Affairs editor Geeta Mohan. She's got the Iraqi Foreign Minister Al-Jafri, Ibrahim Al-Jafri, now speaking exclusively to India Today on this India Today expose Mission Iraq. Remember, our investigation from the ground found that the Badush prison didn't exist. Now it appears that there is a contradiction with the Iraqi foreign minister coming on record to say that his government never had any information about the Indians being in Badush at all. Let's listen to this exclusive with Ibrahim Al-Jafri, Iraq's foreign minister who's on a visit to India.
I'm being joined by the Foreign Minister of Iraq. Many thanks for joining us, Mr. Al-Jafri. India Today had a report on how we went to Badush jail and there were no prisoners in Badush jail. So what is the information that you have on the 39 Indian prisoners?
أنا الأخبار اللي نسمعها من وجودهم في عدة مناطق تتسرب، بس هاي الأخبار مو ثابتة 100%، بس احنا بصددها. أي خبر يجينا حولهم في أي مكان احنا نتحرى. اجى على بادوش وقالوا غير بادوش وقالوا راحوا لسوريا وقالوا سجون أخرى. احنا ما عندنا أخبار قطعية 100%، بأنه لا سمح الله مقتولين، ولا عندنا أخبار 100% بأنهم أحياء. بس كل خبر دا يجي احنا نتابعه ونأمل أن تكون أخبار حياتهم إن شاء الله تكون مؤكدة.
We have been tracking their news as they came to say that they are in Badush, but then after that we followed up on it, and the certainty of their being alive or not has not been made certain. We were tracking the news and the bits and fragments, but we have not reached anything yet.
احنا راح نبقى نتابع موضوعهم معتقدين أنهم أحياء. احنا هالشكل نفكر، يجب أن نفكر بجدية أنهم أحياء.
We will continue to follow up on their subject as if they were alive. This is what we must believe.
منهم من يقولون راحوا إلى باجوش، منهم من يقولون راحوا إلى الشام، منهم من يقولون انهدم عليهم السجن. احنا هاي الأخبار نعتبرها مو كلش دقيقة، نبقى نتابعهم إلى أن نحاول نحصل شيء.
This is inaccurate. Those piece of information that you hear usually, if they were in Badush, if they were sent to Syria, or if the prison had deteriorated upon them, that is not accurate, and we would continue to search as if they were alive.
Mr. Jaffrey, one last question before I let you go. Did you inform the Indian authorities about the prison that was decimated? The destruction of the Badush prison. Was it informed to the Indian government, and when?
معاليكم متى تم إخبار الحكومة الهندية أنه تم تدمير سجن بادوش؟
لا أعرف على وجه التحديد. الجهة الأمنية العراقية كانت تجري حوارات بينهم وبين الجهة الأمنية الهندية. أنا شخصيا ما أعرف التاريخ بالضبط.
I do not know when, because it was a competent authority. There was a security forces, a competent authority from the security forces of Iraq following up on this subject with the competent authority from the Republic of India. So this is why I do not know the precise date for it.
Any update? Any update that you gave?
لعلمك داعش ينطون أخبار وينطون أخبار مكذوبة وينطون شيء عكس الواقع، فما نقدر نثق حتى ببعض المعلومات اللي عكسوها هم.
For your information, Daesh have always contributed towards the circulation of news which are untrue and unlike the truth. So we do not trust every bit of information that.
أما عن وعد أو تاريخ محدد من الصعب مثل هيك أجواء يقدر يعطي واحد تاريخ محدد.
And if in such atmospheres we are unable to give a certain date or a designated date on when this issue is going to be resolved.
الشيء اللي أكده أن القوات العراقية بمختلف فصائلها جادة بالبحث عن المفقودين السوري، جادة بالبحث عن السجناء سواء كانوا عراقيين أو الهنود أو من أي مكان آخر، لأن تعرفين أكو كثيرين مو عراقيين موجودين هناك. احنا حريصين على حفظ النفس البشرية وحفظ المواطنين.
As you know, the Iraqi security forces are very ardent on finding all of those who are taken by Daesh, whether if they were Iraqis, Indians, or other nationalities. They're very serious and keen to preserve their lives.
That's the assurance coming from the Foreign Minister of Iraq to the Indian authorities, also saying that there is no substantive evidence with regards to whether they're dead or alive. Visited journalist Ashwini Helen in New Delhi, Geeta Mohan for India Today.
That's the Iraqi ambassador, that's the Iraqi foreign minister. We also spoke to Riyadh Kamal Abbas, the Syrian ambassador in India, because remember, the one possibility from the ground was that if these Indians were indeed in Badush prison, which was razed to the ground by the ISIS, when they were retreating, maybe the ISIS took the Indians with them. Potentially then they could be in Syria, the neighboring country. Let's listen to what the Syrian ambassador had to say about this India Today expose.
There has been a huge uproar on what has happened to the 39 Indians who've gone missing in Iraq. Our reporters travelled to Mosul, to Badush prison, and there is no prison that exists. Information that's coming in is that they have been moved to other parts of ISIS strongholds. We're listening and we're hearing about Raqqa, which is in Syria. Hence, we're here to speak with the Syrian ambassador to India, Ambassador Abbas. Many thanks for joining us and speaking to India today. Firstly, let me begin with the operation that's underway. What's the status of the operation that's underway by Syrian authorities against ISIS?
As you know, we are the only forces in the ground with our allies fight against terrorism. And we defeat ISIS more than 80% in the ground, and we reached to Raqqa city and make a siege around Raqqa, and we keep only safety way for the civilian who would like to pull out from Raqqa to under the umbrella of our government. And we about to reach the victory in the ground against terror groups. And you have seen from the beginning, we mentioned this terrorism will not remain only in Syria, will influence everywhere. And we have seen what happened and what is the reaction because of Syrian issue. We have seen what happened in Yemen now, and where is Libya now, where is security in the region. And what happened in GCC country now, because of Syrian issues, they become to fighting in between themselves in GCC country, especially between those countries who support terrorism in the ground.
Absolutely. Ambassador Abbas, the bigger concern for us today, the Iraq foreign minister is in New Delhi. There are conversations that are on, but top of India's agenda is 39 Indians who've gone missing. Now, we have our reporters on the ground, and it seems like they could be in the Syrian territories of ISIS stronghold. What's the information that Syria is picking up, that's your authorities that you are picking up?
We were very sad when we heard about this 39 Indian hostage under the hand of ISIS. And we pray for God to raise their country safe. And about your information, I don't have any official information if they are in Raqqa city. But definitely if they are there, our army will brought them safety and will surrender them for Indian government. And when we got official information, immediately I will forward it to Ministry of External Affairs, or our ministry will forward it immediately to your ambassador in Damascus.
Ambassador Abbas, has the ministry gotten in touch with you? Have you met with the ministry officials? Have they asked for details, given that there have been 2 days of India Today reporting that they're not in Badush prison and they could be in Syrian territory? Is there any contact between MEA and you?
I would like to assure you that your government very keen for your citizen in Syria or in Iraq, where they are very keen for that. Always we talk about them and will follow their news if they are in Syria or in Iraq. And there is good cooperation between our both intelligence. Don't worry for that. If they are in Syria, definitely they will come back safely to your ground when they be in the hand of our forces in the ground. I hope that if they are in Raqqa, don't worry, they will come back to safety to your country.
Ambassador Abbas, has MEA gotten in touch with you with details of these 39 Indians?
Always when we have official meeting, we'll talk in different domain, not only for this case, for different cases also. And by the way, we talk about this, and I forward some information for our government to get information from them if there is any good news or bad news. But our intelligence on process, they are following this case in the ground. When we get any small information, immediately we'll inform your government, don't worry.
That's the Syrian ambassador to India. Multiple bring you now India Today's agenda-setting ground report from Badush, 63 kilometers away from Mosul towards the west. This is where the Indian government thought 39 Indians were being kept hostage. When Anchal Bohra, India Today's correspondent, reached Badush, she found that the jail where we thought these Indians were being kept had been razed to the ground by the ISIS. This is the story that's been rocking Parliament all through the day today.
Plumes of smoke, thuds of explosion. This is what became of Mosul after ISIS overran it in June 2014. 3 years later, this July, Iraqi forces recaptured the ancient city. Hopes flickered more than 3,000 kilometers in the east, across India. Hope that 39 Indians missing from Mosul since 2014 could still be alive. For families waiting for their loved ones, nothing could have been more reassuring. And that's when India today sets out in search of our missing immigrants in Mosul. A journey through some of the world's most dangerous zones. The first by any Indian TV crew after Mosul's liberation from the deadly ISIS. Located in northern Iraq, this city has been no stranger to the rise and fall of civilizations. It's reduced to ruins once again. This is where ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi declared a global caliphate in 2014.
That's the Al-Nuri mosque from where Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi announced his caliphate. There is no clarity whether he's been killed or is still alive. West Mosul, though, lies in ruins. There's nothing left here. The moment you get here, the smell of rotting bodies catches up. There's only destruction as far as your eye can see. There are no human beings.
An estimated 40,000 people have been killed in Mosul. Many more are still unaccounted for. Our heart sinks to think of the fate of 39 Indians abducted by the ISIS in mid-2014. In Erbil, near Mosul, we meet members of the tiny Indian community. Tirupati belongs to Hyderabad and works at a popular restaurant here. He is worried about the fellow Indians gone missing.
It's very sad to they're stuck there. I don't know about them, where they are. Very, very sad, very, very sad. So we want to know where they are safe or they are in any trouble or like that.
Around 6,000 Indians live in Erbil. At the beginning of the conflict, 22,000 lived in Iraq. Most came here for work. Where did 39 of them disappear? We probe different agencies.
This is the office of the Red Crescent in Erbil, and we're about to go inside to find out if they have any information about the 39 Indians who were abducted in 2014. Remember, India's External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj continues to give hope to the families of these abducted Indians, and the Ministry of External Affairs did say that it was originally Red Crescent that gave them the information that the Indians are alive. So what's the status? Do they know anything? Have they been talking to the Indian government? Let's find out. Said that Red Crescent has told them.
Havre Ehsan Sadiq has been the manager of Red Crescent's Erbil branch since September 2014. If there is any information that needs to be shared about civilians, it would go through him.
You're in charge of Red Crescent in Mosul, right?
Yeah.
If there is any information that any of your volunteers or workers find or in Mosul about Indians, will that come to you?
But 3 years, ISIS to control in the Mosul, and I didn't any information with the any people inside Mosul.
Erbil's main humanitarian agency is clueless, but our search continues. We now head to the heart of the conflict in West Mosul. The entire area looks like a war zone. We move through endless lines of destroyed, deserted homes. That's the final mile. We are nervous yet hopeful. Soon, we are joined by a local team. They led us to a path laden with mines. We walk watching our steps carefully. What we discover is stunning. There's no sign of any prison anymore, let alone any person. We look at the rubble, shattered.
This is Badoosh prison. This is where, according to the intelligence India's External Affairs Minister has received, the 39 abducted Indians could possibly be. But that information is clearly absolutely incorrect, because this building, we're being told, was destroyed by ISIS itself years ago, and this area was liberated a few months ago, in fact, by the counter-terrorism unit of Iraq. What's left are just remnants of what was once a prison where ISIS had come to get some of their Islamist brothers released from, and it is at that time that they also ended up occupying the city of Mosul. The question hence continues to be, where are the 39 Indians? It is important to have hope, but looking at this, I have to say, this is not what I expected to find. We faced many problems while coming here, and one was hoping that perhaps there'd be some good news that one could return home with. In Badoosh, on the outskirts of Mosul, in Iraq, Aanchal Vora.
It takes great courage to make that risky journey from Mosul to Badoosh, a journey which the government said was too fraught with risk for anyone in government to make. But India today is showing that real journalism is being out there on the ground, reporting on what no one else is willing to touch. And that is what we will continue to do even in time to come. We're slipping into a quick break. We'll have a lot more for you when we come back on the other side. Stay with us.